Right. Hey guys, sorry, it's gotten kind of loud in here. I should have done this when I first got here. But I hope you guys are having an awesome Monday. It is absolutely freezing here. I guess freezing is 40 degrees, which it hasn't been that cold, but definitely not used to it. Okay, so today I want to go over the third type of hunger. So last week we went over the first two, which the first one was physical hunger, which we learned is a gradual increase of hunger, and everybody's body experiences physical hunger in a different way. The second type of hunger was our sense hunger. We eat it because we see it, hear it, feel it, taste it, smell it. And I know, for those of us that are moms, the taste, the smell, the touch, like we were exposed to so many foods that we may or may not be aware of that we're actually eating, and we don't need them or we don't want them. So today we're going to go over the third type of hunger, which is emotional hunger. Now, I think, and I would argue that most of us are aware of emotional hunger and emotional eating, but I wouldn't say that we're really good at identifying the emotions that we're experiencing, or even realizing that we're eating out of emotion. And so, the biggest thing that I want to point out here is I think there is a spectrum of emotional eating, and I think there's a point on the spectrum that I would encourage you, like if you feel like you're emotionally eating because of something very big, something very deep in your story, a wound, then I would encourage you to go see a counselor, because I do believe that there is a degree of awareness you can bring into emotional eating, but I also believe that sometimes that needs guidance if it's deep enough. And I know personally I've been to 2 or 3 different counselors over the years, and it is the best money I've ever spent. And so if there is something in your life that you're like, I think this is deeper than something I can fix alone, please don't hesitate. What we're going to talk about today, the emotional eating or the degree of emotional eating that I'm going to talk about today, is very tangible. It's very much something that you can navigate and become aware of. So basically, a few of the things I want you to consider or focus on for the first part of this week before I go into the fourth type of eating later this week is I want you to begin to identify the feelings that trigger eating for you, because I don't think all of the feelings we experience are going to trigger eating. I think there are some very specific ones. So and I think for everyone it's going to be different. So some of you may find that loneliness triggers hunger, or sadness, or anxiety, or stress. So identifying our feelings. I can't remember what one of my counselors said, but she was talking about how like we feel, I can't remember what it is. There's like 30 or 40 different emotions, and most of us are aware of 3 to 5 of them. Happy, sad, anger. I don't even know what the 5 are from like Inside Out, but like most of us really just classify our feelings in those 5 when really there's this broad spectrum of feelings that we're not even aware of. So just exploring feelings and becoming more aware of feelings can be really helpful. But I want you to focus this week on the emotions that trigger eating, because I'd imagine not all of your emotions trigger eating. For some people, stress actually triggers nausea, so they don't eat, where someone else, like stress or anxiety, makes them want to eat, and they eat faster. It creates that urgency, just like the touch or the sense hunger, it creates that urgency. And so, somebody might they aren't triggered by food if they're super sad, but they're triggered by alcohol. And so when they experience sadness, they actually turn to alcohol or things like that. So it's beginning to become aware of your feelings and what they are triggering is really helpful. And that awareness, again, like I said, the more awareness we can create, the more choices you have. And honestly, sometimes choice is hard. Like sometimes we are we have to be responsible for our choices. Like if we aren't aware of those feelings and they trigger eating, then well, we didn't necessarily choose to eat that. We kind of just did it, and so you didn't have to make a choice. So the more awareness you bring in, the more choices you create, um, the more responsibility you have to take for your health. So I understand that that could be weighty. I'm actually someone who has struggled with taking responsibility for the things that I do, and that's been part of my counseling and my healing journey. So anyway, I want to encourage you guys to pursue your emotions this week and explore what they're triggering. Some of the other emotions that we tend to trigger eating that people aren't aware of is like the fear of missing out. So everybody around you is enjoying this treat and you're not. And that can also trigger eating foods that you don't necessarily want or need or isn't helping support your goal. So if you're in a situation like that, I would love for you to assess the situation, see who is around you, and evaluate if they're food pushers. If you're dealing with food pushers, which are people that are like, no, eat this, don't worry about your diet, don't worry about your goals, and they like push and push and push, and they don't respect your boundaries, then you may or may not want to spend time with those people while you're working towards your goals. I also want to encourage you to be a leader, be strong, and stand up for your own health. I know a while back, Julie was asking about like how do you handle food sensitivities and judgment and things like that. Being around food pushers and people who don't respect your boundaries around nutrition and food typically just means that they're insecure or they don't understand. So just remember that their responses aren't about you, and it's typically about them. So I would highly encourage you to stick to your goals and your desires and what you really want. But again, this week we're just kind of taking note of that, writing it down in your tracker, feeling the feelings, like come up with it, what you want to do, what desires it serves in you, creating that awareness. A few other feelings that you may experience is self-sabotage. So when you start to see success on this scale, it is really common for people to begin to self-sabotage because they're actually, deep down inside, afraid of being a different weight, being a different size. It's out of their comfort zone. And even as painful as being in their comfort zone is, getting out of it is even scarier. And so, again, just want to encourage you to, like, am I doing that? Am I making this choice because I'm actually afraid to see that next 2 pounds drop? Is this a big next 2 pounds? Like, is it the 2 pounds that's taking me to a number I haven't seen in for years? Or, like what's around some of the choices you're making with your food, especially if you feel like you're struggling or you're like, I don't necessarily want to make these choices, but there's something deeper. Again, we get into this emotional stuff, and if you get in really deep and you're like, oh, I need help with guidance on this, I would really encourage you to see a counselor. I know that it's worth every penny. I have my calendar options set up for you guys if you want to talk through it with me. I'm not a professional. I don't claim to be. But I think sometimes just having that individual conversation can be really helpful. So, the self-sabotage one is a big one. Another thing I want you to think about, or a direction with emotional eating, is that we also emotionally eat for happiness and celebration. You're at a party and you've eaten really well and you've been water firsting, you have your 2 hands on the wheel, and they bring out the cake. And everybody is happy and celebrating and eating sugar, and that's not working towards your goals and that your body won't respond well to it, but everybody else is doing it, and we want to be part of the happiness or the excitement or the celebration. And so I think it's important to note that sometimes we experience emotional eating with happiness. Sorry, my husband's running because I'm sitting by the window and I'm feeding. But I think that's just an important point to point out, because we do get on this train of, I eat because I'm stressed, I eat because I'm proud, I eat because I'm lonely. Well, we also eat because we're happy. And we may, not eating may or may not be helping us towards our goals in the long run. So just things to keep in mind. I'd highly encourage you to rewatch the emotional eating TV mindset video, just as a refresher as you explore these feelings this coming week. And the other thing, like I always say, the more you guys can track down your emotions, why you're eating something, what's going on with that, the healthier you are creating your relationship with food to be. Like the more that you can track it down, I ate this because I was stressed, or I ate this because I was sad. You're actually creating a healthier relationship with food. It doesn't necessarily seem like it, but again, that awareness brings on choice, and it brings on, like, you can write it down and you can actually like navigate the feelings around it when you write it down versus just saying it or thinking it. So I would highly encourage you to write your feelings down in your checklist. I'm going to give you guys an example of this for me last night. So Wes has been teething. We have yet to cut the first tooth, but the last 2 nights he has been up about 8:30 or 9, just losing his mind, like so out of who he is, just his nature, totally out of his nature, and like inconsolable. And so last night we decided, as soon as he started crying, I couldn't get him to calm down. I was like, we're just going to give him the Motrin. You know it's teeth. This is out of his nature. I hate giving my kids Motrin, but I also hate watching them scream and cry for an hour. So I was holding him as I was hoping that it would kick in, and it still took 30 to 45 minutes for him to stop screaming. And I finally got him down. I rocked him for a little bit, laid him down. And when I walked out of his room, the only thing I wanted to do was walk into the kitchen and grab a huge handful of chocolate chips. Because I was stressed, I was exhausted, I was feeling very frustrated because the Motrin didn't kick in fast enough, and I hate giving him the Motrin, and I'm going to hold him for an hour screaming, why do I, like it's all this nonsense going on in my brain. But emotionally, I was feeling exhausted and stressed. And I immediately wanted to get chocolate. And so I actually walked into the kitchen, and I had made tea right before he woke up. So I had cold tea waiting for me. I thought, no, I'm just going to have 2 hands on the wheel. I'm going to grab my tea and then go into bed. And guys, I woke up down today on my weight because of that. And I don't know that the couple, 2 or 3 handfuls of chocolate chips I would have eaten would have worked towards my goals. And so I say that to say, like, we all experience emotional eating. Food is very emotional, and it's good and bad, and because it's very communal, like, it's not good or bad. Sorry, I said it's good and bad. It's not good or bad. Like, everybody experiences it, and it's just a matter of how aware you are, because I was aware of my emotions when I walked out of his room last night, I could make a choice towards my goal and know that that chocolate wasn't really going to make me feel better. It wasn't going to make it so Wes stopped crying. It wasn't going to fix anything for me. So I didn't have tea and I went to bed. And so anyways, like I said, I share that so you guys know, like, it happens to everybody. You're not alone. As much as I honestly, maybe it's because I'm in the nutrition world, but like I get people that are like, oh, I don't struggle with emotional eating. And I'm like, honey, we're all dealing with it. We're all dealing with it. It's just a matter of how aware you are. And you guys are becoming so much more aware, and it's so awesome. So anyway, I hope that's helpful for you guys. Like I said, later this week, I'm going to hit the last 2 types of hunger, which I honestly am so excited about. They're probably my 2 favorites. I probably should have put them first, but I saved them for the last 2 of you hanging on. And then I'm also going to post a podcast that I listened to this week on our subconscious mind. You guys, I know I struggle with limiting beliefs. I know that that is a pattern in my life. I have seen it through the years. And this podcast that I'm going to post talks about our subconscious, and it's really, really basic. It's like it's not deep. It's not mind-blowing. Like, it's not, it's just not deep. It's not overwhelming. But I feel like it's a really good place to start, because I do believe that our beliefs and our subconscious are controlling a lot of the choices we make.
and she actually said, we make 10% of our choices through our conscious mind every day. 90% of our choices are made by our subconscious. And so I know for me, I have a lot of things that I want to do better, do more of, explore more of, but I know that there's some limiting beliefs that are keeping me back. And that can apply to our nutrition too. Like, I'll never be this size, I'll never see this number between my toes, I'll never eat healthy. I've always liked really heavy creamy foods, so I can't lose weight. Like, these are all like beliefs in your subconscious, so that when you go and you make a meal or you make a decision, you actually make that meal and decision off those subconscious thoughts and not conscious aware thoughts. So anyways, I've been talking a ton about awareness and awareness of hunger and things like that. And so I just felt like this podcast was awesome. So I'm going to post that in the group so that you guys can have access to it. I'll probably throw it up in the thread. I think that's just the easiest way to share the link. So that's going to go up in the chat thread. And I would highly encourage you guys to listen to it. It was so good. And I hope you guys have a great rest of your Monday. And stay tuned later this week because I'm going to go over the last two types of hunger, and they are the most fascinating to me. And that's it. I think that's all I got. So thank you guys. Have a great Monday.